Even the smartest man in the world didn't see this coming. And it destroyed everything. Elon Musk says, "My home is destroyed." This is really what happened. And those words alone carry a weight few people could ever imagine. My beloved child, imagine waking up to a moment you never thought you would witness in your lifetime. A moment where the walls that protected your dreams no longer stand, and the place you once called home becomes unrecognizable overnight. This wasn't just a house. It was a sanctuary. A place built not only with wealth, but with years of vision, sacrifice, and relentless pursuit of the future. Every corner held memories. Every room told a story. On that morning, everything appeared ordinary. The sun rose gently, birds echoed through the air, and the world seemed to move exactly as it always had. Nothing hinted at the devastation waiting silently behind closed doors. Elon walked through his home with the same focused calm he carried into boardrooms and launch sites. He stepped into his office expecting another day of ideas and innovation. Instead, he froze. What he saw didn't make sense. Walls were fractured. Furniture lay overturned. Priceless collectibles, items gathered over decades of achievement, were shattered beyond recognition. The space looked as if it had been turned inside out by an unseen force. There was no fire damage, no water flooding the floors, no signs of an earthquake, and that was what made it terrifying. Family photos were scattered across the room, frames broken, memories displaced. Projects he had been working on were disrupted, screens cracked, papers torn apart as if chaos had deliberately chosen its targets. He stood there stunned. Not angry, not panicked, just silent disbelief. Then something caught his eye. Amid all the destruction, there was a detail so small it could have been overlooked by anyone else. A tiny anomaly, hidden in plain sight, quietly defying logic. At that moment, Elon didn't see destruction. He saw a puzzle. As he moved through the house, he felt it. A faint vibration beneath his feet, almost imperceptible, like a whisper warning him that something was deeply wrong. At first, he dismissed it. Machines hum, systems vibrate. This was normal in a home designed around advanced technology. Or so he thought. Then came the sound. A slow, deliberate cracking noise echoed through the structure. Not violent, not sudden, but calculated, intentional. This was no accident. Elon stepped closer, his mind racing through possibilities. His state-of-the-art security systems were designed to prevent even the smallest failure. Yet somehow, they had failed in a way no engineer had predicted. And here was the twist that changed everything. This wasn't caused by technology. As he traced the damage backward, memory after memory flashed through his mind. Family dinners, late-night brainstorming sessions, moments of laughter no camera had ever captured. He realized this wasn't about material loss. It was a test. A challenge meant not for machines, but for the human mind behind them. Hours passed as he examined logs, blueprints, and system records. Each layer revealed something more unsettling. The deeper he looked, the clearer it became that the answer wasn't external. It was internal. Hidden within one of the systems he had personally designed was a vulnerability, so subtle, so rare, that no standard safeguard could detect it. Not a glitch, a blind spot, something created not by negligence, but by overconfidence. Standing amid the rubble, Elon began to understand the message behind the destruction. Every shattered window, every displaced object whispered the same lesson. No system is invincible. No mind, no matter how brilliant, can anticipate everything. And then came the most unbelievable realization of all. The tiny anomaly he noticed at the beginning wasn't random. It was the key. The signal that connected every broken piece, every failure, every unanswered question. It wasn't the home that failed him. It was the assumption that perfection was possible. In that quiet aftermath, surrounded by silence and debris, Elon didn't see defeat. He saw clarity. A reminder that innovation without humility carries hidden risks. The destruction became a turning point, a moment that reshaped the way he viewed safety, control, and the fragile balance between progress and human limits. No cameras recorded what happened next. No headlines captured the weight of that realization. But those closest to him say the experience changed him forever. Because sometimes the greatest lessons don't come from success. They come from the moment everything you built falls apart and you finally understand why. And that, my beloved child, is the story no one reported. The story behind the destruction. The story behind the silence. The story behind the lesson hidden in plain sight. This pattern revealed one undeniable truth. What happened was not random. It was the result of a silent chain reaction, a sequence of events so precise and interconnected that no one could have predicted it, not even a mind like Elon Musk's. When the full truth finally emerged, it didn't bring relief. It brought shock, a heavy emotional realization that forced Elon to stop, breathe, and confront something far bigger than loss. And in that moment, he stood at the edge of a decision that would ripple far beyond the walls of his destroyed home. My beloved child, have you ever witnessed someone who appears untouchable face the unpredictable? Someone whose confidence is built on mastery suddenly meeting chaos? Elon did, and what followed was not weakness, but transformation. As he reconstructed the timeline piece by piece, the mystery began to reveal its shape. This wasn't a single failure. It was a perfect storm of overlooked variables, silent dependencies, and assumptions that had gone unquestioned for years. What shook him most was not the damage, but the realization that preparation alone is never enough. Even the sharpest foresight has limits. Even the most advanced systems carry hidden risks. And then came the unexpected turn. In the ruins of what was lost, Elon discovered something extraordinary. The disaster had unintentionally exposed a solution to a problem he had been wrestling with for years, a problem that extended far beyond his home. It was a realization so powerful, so disruptive, that it momentarily eclipsed the destruction around him. The chaos had revealed clarity. Among the wreckage, small fragments began to stand out. A photograph untouched by debris, a blueprint partially buried but intact, a tiny object that seemed immune to the surrounding devastation. These weren't coincidences. They were clues. Each fragment guided his thinking, not backward toward blame, but forward toward possibility. And then, in a moment that felt almost cinematic, the final connection clicked into place. He understood that this disaster had uncovered a truth about innovation that few ever face firsthand. Progress is not just about building faster or smarter, it's about understanding fragility before it breaks you. Standing in silence, surrounded by the remnants of his home, Elon made a choice that stunned everyone around him. He chose not to rebuild what was lost. Instead, he chose to build something greater. This wasn't about restoring walls or replacing possessions. It was about redefining systems, priorities, and the future itself. About creating something smarter, safer, and more meaningful than before. What looked like tragedy had become momentum. What felt like loss had become insight. As the investigation continued, Elon noticed patterns others would have dismissed. Tiny scorch marks, microscopic fractures, timing irregularities so subtle they hid in plain sight. Together, they pointed to a hidden force at work, not malicious, not intentional, but deeply underestimated. And here was the unbelievable part. This was something Elon had theorized years earlier, a risk he had acknowledged intellectually, but never expected to collide so personally with his own life. That realization hit harder than any physical damage, because this wasn't just about a home. It was about legacy, about responsibility, about the cost of innovation when human oversight falls even slightly out of alignment. In one of the most emotional moments of his life, Elon understood that the destruction was a wake-up call, a reminder that success does not exempt anyone from vulnerability. And then came the breakthrough. The tiny anomaly he had noticed at the beginning led directly to a solution, one that could prevent similar disasters not just for him, but for countless systems across the world. What had once seemed insignificant became the foundation of a global safeguard. This wasn't just a story of recovery. It was a story of evolution. Chaos turned into clarity. Failure transformed into foresight. Destruction became the spark for a future-proof vision. When the dust finally settled, Elon didn't speak about loss. He spoke about learning, about humility, about resilience, because the most important discovery wasn't hidden in the rubble. It was inside the realization that even genius must remain human. My beloved child, this story did not begin with destruction, and it does not end with rebuilding. It ends with understanding. The understanding that life's greatest breakthroughs often arrive disguised as disasters. And sometimes, everything must fall apart so something truly extraordinary can finally take shape. This was not just the story of a home destroyed. It was the story of vision tested, courage refined, and innovation reborn. And that is why it matters.